Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy, the Angry here to talk about an experience, which is actually perfectly timed considering I beat this game back around this time last year. It was around January, February of 2021. So I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about my personal experience with Persona 4 Golden Dawn. Intro starter.
You missed the Kitsune again.
Don't lie to me. I came here at the start of the stream just so I don't miss the fights.
So, shout outs to my boy Crystal King Revolver for gifting me the game last year when Persona 4 Golden got put out on Steam. Actually, it wasn't last year, I don't think. I think it was 2020 is when it was put out on Steam. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I've watched the anime. I had played through 5 at that point. I figured I'd give 4 a shot. And said, why not stream the whole experience? Which I'm in the process of uploading to the YouTube channel as we speak, or as the recording of this video. And I said, well, let's talk about the game because I beat it and I got like over 100 and some hours into it now. I think it's at 150 now because I'm in the middle of my second playthrough. But I think I beat the main game at like 100 or so, 100, maybe 110. And I just want to talk about the experience and how I felt about it. So prior to playing 4 Golden, or just Golden, I'll just say Golden. Prior to playing Golden, I had already beaten Vanilla P5 and I had watched the Persona 4 anime, both of them, the Golden one and the original anime. Anime pretty much covering the main plot, Golden primarily covering like extra shit with more focus on humor and the Marie plot line because she's not in the original game. And I enjoyed the anime for what it was. I think the main plot was the worst part of the Persona 4 anime, primarily because the best thing about Persona 4, and I think even most people would say this even in the game, are the characters. The characters and the character interactions, the comedy, the social life aspect of P4 is like my favorite thing of P4. Not saying I don't fuck with the dungeons or the level grinding or that stuff, because I fuck with it. But I very much think P4 has a super strong cast. I think the characters of P4 are the most interesting thing about P4 and my favorite thing about P4. Now, because I already knew the plotline going into Golden, that meant that there was no real surprise for me, and yet I still find myself insanely addicted. Now, granted, every Persona mainline Persona game forces you to do a bunch of time management, where you're stuck doing things at school and with your friends and building up like relationship statuses and possibly getting a girlfriend or whatever the fuck, versus fighting shadows in a dungeon of things that are constantly trying to kill you for whatever pretense. And 4, it's primarily we're trying to solve a murder, but we're also dealing with our personal problems. And I think that shit's integrated way better than I would say P5's whole Phantom Thieves aspect, and then also personal problems on the side, I guess. I don't fucking know. It's weird because like P3 integrated most of its character development in the plot. P4 has it mainly separate with a few key moments carrying over between the two. Usually P4's whole way of handling progression is we'll introduce like a character problem or issue of, or like an ongoing issue with the character, but you have to do the social link to kind of get further into it. Whereas P5 does that bullshit where that's kind of it, but then like sometimes their confidants just go in weird fucking directions. Like Makoto's new friend who thinks you're dating the main character, which you can in that game, but like in the context of the confidant, you're not. You might be by the end of it, but you're not technically. I like that. I like how every character is dealing with their own issue. It's funny to me that I love that, like the biggest thing with Chie and Yukiko, who by the way I've grown to enjoy more through the game than I did originally. Originally in the anime she just comes off really weird, like almost like they didn't know what to do with her character. But I like that she's like the super pretty girl that everyone's like into, but she's like weird as fuck and kind of kooky, especially with that sense of humor. I like that she has that little like goofball side to her. I appreciate that more in the games than in the anime, although the anime does bring it up. It's funny in both, but still, I appreciated that. Then you got fucking Yosuke, the lovable bro, who to me is my favorite bro character of the 3 I've seen, with between like Junpei, Ryuji, and Yosuke. I think Yosuke is my favorite. I like that dynamic. He's very much like comic relief, but he also has his own struggles. And the fact that the Saki thing is a consistent issue with him throughout the game, although in various levels. And of course, if you finish his confidant, you can see him finally move past that and move past his kind of like snobby, uppity ways that he kind of has. I also find it interesting that they chose for Chie and Yukiko for their issues to be codependency, which is really what both of their underlining issues are about. More so Chie than Yukiko, even though they both have issues, where Yukiko looks at Chie as like her prince because she protects her a lot and they're super close, but she also feels like she's like using Chie, which, I mean, friendship, it's fine. It's always weird because when it comes to friendship, there's nothing wrong with using each other, but as long as it's consensual use, not you just abusing and using them as a crutch to lean on because you emotionally don't want to grow or develop as a person, which I think that was more Yukiko's struggle than Chie. Chie just felt like she needed to be in that role. Not that she had to, and that was the problem. She felt like she needed to be in that role for Yukiko, and it created this unhealthy relationship, and that was the struggle she was going through. Then you hit characters like Rise and Kanji. It's funny how there's a bunch of characters that also have like dual dynamics that work with each other. Like which Rise and Kanji's are both about. Actually, Rise, Kanji, and Naoto's are all about perception. Rise has a bit of an identity crisis due to the constant jumping between characters as an idol. Kanji hates the way he's perceived as a thug, even though his interests don't even align with that. And he ends up hating women because of how he's judged for being into the same things they are. Naoto hates that perception because he wants to be viewed as a cool detective, which have predominantly been men and cool dudes at that. And she's a woman and she struggles with that. Naoto's always a touchy subject for me, only because of how modern media likes to portray Naoto, which is that she's like transgendered and shit. I'm like, that's never been her character. Her issue was never that she hated being a woman in the sense of feeling uncomfortable as a woman. It's the fact that she wanted to be a detective, and through most media, they usually portray detectives as men. Even in the police force, men are primarily viewed as the law enforcement. So of course, she assumed that was a part of the persona. That's why her persona makes her like that. Even if you don't play, but if you've seen pictures of her in the end of this game and the dancing game, you see that she adopts a more female outfit and presentation after she kind of moves past it. It's a struggle, but it's all perception based. She wants to be perceived as a detective, but felt like she had to change herself. And even at the end of it all, she still struggled because of her fucking age. She's like this young prodigy who's struggling because she's young, a woman, and she also represents change. Who the hell wants this uppity new kid who's like 2 times younger than us, trying to upstage us in an investigation? But I fucking love this cast. Even Teddy. I know Teddy gets a lot of shit. Let's be real here. Teddy gets a lot of shit from the fandom because of his puns. His puns, and that he's like the perv. Ironically enough, of all the guys, he would be arguably the resident perv. But it sucks because he's also a mascot character. And as much as people hate Teddy, you like Teddy. I think his story works well. He's also dealing with identity issues. He's trying to figure out who he is while also struggling with like not knowing what he is, the value in what he is, and what he can do for people that he cares about. Which is why the Nanako stuff at the end of the game fucks him up immensely. And I feel like that was a natural progression of his character. Ironically enough, him being integrated normally into the plot works really well for Teddy. He actually is pretty good in his own game. The problem is that when you put him in like spin-off games and side games, which is kind of the struggle with the P4 cast in general, they kind of get boiled down to like 1 or 2 jokes. But like the whole experience it was different than watching the anime immensely. Even the side characters you get to meet, I didn't get to do all their side stories, and I'm in the process of doing the ones I missed. I tend to enjoy the resonance of Inaba purely just because of the chip. And it's weird. It also does that thing that it reminds, if anyone's watched Anzamaga Daioh, Persona 4 does that thing, Golden does that thing that like takes you back to a point in your life where everything was just kind of chill. And even like the plot of the game, which is dealing with murders, because you have it also with the backdrop of everyone dealing with their own personal issues, or in high school, which is around the time you would be dealing with your personal issues and trying to like work out your baggage and your trauma, whatever the fuck's going on with you. it like hits this nice sweet spot of where you feel like it's almost like a pocket in time. Like that's how fucking Persona 4 Golden feels to me. It's like a pocket in time where it's just a moment. I know obviously it's a year in game time, but like it's that moment. Azumanga Daioh did this to me too, where it wasn't like crazy shit was happening every 5 seconds. It wasn't like we were stopping like major companies from destroying the world. All this shit was like pretty self-contained until we get to the end of it, where you know we fight God, technically, kinda, sorta. But like most of it's self-contained. Like the main plot of the game is pretty self-contained. Like the worst thing that really would have happened is that this murderer would have gotten away, which is spoiler in life, that tends to happen anyway. So that's the worst that would have come of it, versus like P3 where like the world would have ended, or P5 where the world would have ended, or fucking, and I'm talking about like their main plots. We're not even talking about like the side plots. I'm talking about main plots. The world would have fucking ended. In P4, you're just kind of chilling. I also like all the little side events you do. You go out to the beach, you do fireworks, 4th of July kind of stuff, New Year's, Christmas, Valentine's Day. You do like certain camping trips and stuff like that. Like it's just time to chill and hang with the friends. You do the fucking culture festival and stuff. It's like a good mishmash. Like it just, and it's weird. For some reason, I don't know what it is, and this isn't just P4, but P4 captures it well. Anime high school is better than like real life high school. I'm curious if Japanese high school is better than American high school, but I know Japanese anime high school, it's always better. It's like something's always going on. And it's like you get pulled in the shit for no reason, but you don't really mind because you're helping out people. Oh, what, you need me to go fish for something? Oh, I need to go get these bugs. Oh, I need to go work at the daycare and help take care of some kids to build some courage so I can ask Dojima about what the fuck happened to him and his wife and Nanako's mother, and where is she, and what's the trauma going on. And god damn it, it's one of those things where I just kind of sat there and absorbed the experience, and I came out of it like, fuck. I remember I got to the end of the game and I was genuinely sad it was over. That's one of the reasons why I started a second game. It's one of those few games that I genuinely was like, fuck, it's over. Fuck. And of course I know we got the some of the stories that continue, like the Ultimax games, and what's the other one? Oh, the Q series. Like P4's in the dancing game. There's like, it's not like there's other P4 material, but to have that year in Inaba where I'm just kind of enjoying myself. Obviously, I'm fighting shadows and all that other fun shit, but like just the experience in Inaba, it's just good, dog. It's just good. And of course, I gotta deal with P5. I mean, Persona shit anyway, which I guess I'll talk about the gameplay a little bit because I really haven't. It's funny. I went back and watched my P5 review. And it's funny how many things I complained about in P5 that I had like no issue with in P4. I think I remember complaining about like the stats you had to level up, about the same amount of stats in 4 as you do in 5. And I mean, it was a grind, but like, and there are characters that make it a bitch. I think, Naoto is the worst example. But god damn it, I'm mad because she's worth it. That's what makes me angry about it. I was dedicated to do that just off a jump. But you get her so late in the fucking game, and then they want to throw roadblocks at you. It's like fucking Futaba and Sojiro in 5, where it's like, you gotta be a certain level of kindness. And like, it's annoying in the moment, but god, I don't care in the grand scheme of things. Because I understood. If me as a person, I'm growing and changing just like all my friends are in their social links. They're becoming better people. God, I still will say this. Of the 3 I've played, P4 has my favorite cast. So like that dumb shit with the grinding, it's not my favorite thing to do. But they also have better elements to like max that shit out in an appropriate time frame. So it didn't bother me as much as it probably could have. I liked, for some reason I liked it here. It could be just because I adjusted to it or what. Or maybe because I knew it was coming. I still hate the fact that the main character dying causes the game over. And then I guess we'll talk about the dungeons. Because remember, like P5 is the one that shook up the series when it comes to having specialized dungeons. I played P4. I don't think it was that. I actually prefer P4 and P3 where they're like randomly generated. You wanna know why? because they don't drag as much. Like, of course, they all have. It's funny that for a game that has randomly generated floors, it's still entertaining in its own right. The randomly generated dungeons, I think, are actually, to me, more enjoyable for P4. But it could be just P4. I don't know if P3 is going to give me the same type of vibe. I've only started a little bit of the portable edition, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I actually don't mind, because they all still had their themes. Like, Sanji's is a bathhouse, Rise's is a strip club, I think Yukiko's is a palace, like a legit, like, oh, a palace because she's looking for a Prince Charming. Mitsuo's is like this old 8-bit game room, and they all still seem to have like their interesting themes and like things you have to do in those dungeons. They do fall. Hell, Nato's is a research facility where the gimmick is you're going down versus going up. They all still entertain me. Even fucking Adachi's at the end of the game, which is its own fucking insanity, because you have to know how to do that dungeon right, because you would fuck that up the first time if you weren't paying any attention. So let's talk about Adachi. So a lot of people on my first playthrough said don't do Adachi social link stuff. So I didn't do Adachi social links. So I don't know all like the little intricate details of his life, although I'm doing it on my second playthrough and I'm learning things about him. I like Adachi as a villain. He very much is a guy. It's funny that Adachi's whole struggle really boils down to his willingness not to change. He very much, ironically enough, is very much like Yosuke in the beginning of the game. A character who like did well and grinded out and like ended up in the boonies and was like, fuck. It's worse for Adachi though, because he's a grown ass man. Adachi's smart. Adachi's very talented. Adachi's like higher up in life than people give him credit for because of how he's portrayed most of the game. But like Adachi's like that kid who got top of his class, got into the good job he wanted, and then the job was like, we're gonna send you here for you starting out. And Adachi, through the first few years of his life, was thrown in this shitty area. And you're just like, I work for this? And he was like, this sucks. Because now he is in this boring town. And he's doing all this boring shit. And what makes it worse is that Adachi fucking hates it. He just hates the shit out of it. But his willingness not to just enjoy himself in the scenery and his ability to adapt and change, something that all humans can do, is what makes him suffer so much. He hates the experience so much and he won't let himself enjoy the experience, which is why when he gets his power to throw people in the TV and kill them, he's like, well, fuck it, at least now I can entertain myself. Jesus Christ, nothing else is going on, but things were going on. It's almost like ironically enough, Adachi very much is a character who feels like, I'm trapped in an anime, but like not realizing he's in an anime, so he doesn't enjoy the fact that he's in the anime because it's a high school anime. He's like, fuck, why didn't I become a shonen protagonist? Fuck, man, why didn't I become like in a mystical world? Could have been some ninjas, could have been some pirates, could have been some soul reapers. No, you dropped me off at like high school. I'm like, have you seen anime? High school anime is still fucking great. But he's not seeing that because it's just high school. It's the boonies. It's just the backwater area. So he's doing all the uninteresting shit. And so he struggles and he suffers. And the first sign of something crazy out of the norm that gives him like this cool sense of power, he's like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna take it. But Adachi also screamed. But it's funny, when you fight him, he's always screaming about like the struggles and the harsh realities of being an adult. At least this way you guys don't have to suffer. And he's like, look, just because you can't hack it as an adult doesn't mean the rest of us can't. It's very much a game that always wants to push you forward. It reminds me of Snafu in a lot of ways, where it's like, we'll keep forging forward no matter how much it hurts, no matter what shit comes our way, because that's what we do. We change and we adapt. That's what humans can do. That's the strength of us, the power of change, and having friends beside you who will always keep you on your path or be there to support you. And Adachi just never grabbed any of those things. And he's very much aware of it now in jail, but would have helped out if you didn't, and a couple people wouldn't have died. El Mitsuo wouldn't have copycat and killed King Moron. God, I will say the one thing 5 has over 4, so much better teachers. At least one, and that's all I needed. God damn it. I hate most of the teachers in P4. They're either boring or annoying as fuck, or, dead. Random element has its ups and downs. It's way easier to grind and farm, and I get that the P4 in a lot of ways is kind of easy. But yeah, god damn it, I don't care, yo. It was such a fun experience. It's hard to be like mad about a game being quote unquote easy. Because it wasn't like easy in the fuck you. It's like easy for a Megaton game, but it's not easy in terms of a video game. The fuck? Especially, and the one thing I will say I hate, the game does not tell you when the fog, it just says when the fog rolls in, that's when you know you fucked up. And I'm like, you know what you could have done, game? You could have just given me like a legit, kind of like what 5 does. Here's a marker. This is how many days you have left. I would have preferred that than this annoying ass like when the fog rolls in, because it always happens supposedly after rain. Like if I have a general time frame that I know off the bat, like it's 25 days until Naoto gets killed or Kanji gets killed or Rise gets killed, then I can plan my shit around it. Here, I think the first few dungeons, I almost fucked up completely because I didn't realize when the goddamn fog was rolling in. And thank God I was streaming it because people told me, they were like, yo, you're about to lose if you don't go ahead and fight the boss. I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck. So, but overall, I just enjoyed the shit out of P4. P4 is just a good ass game. Has a great ass cast. I like the social links. I like hanging out with my friends in Inaba. I like talking to people and helping them with their problems. I like just chilling. To me, a mark of a good game or a good anime, especially a slice of life, is an anime that gets you to enjoy the act of nothing. That's what Azumako Daioh does for me as an anime, and that's what this game does for me as a form of a video game. It's so hard to properly explain that experience, but man, I just liked being in Inaba. I like Yosuke, I like Chie, I like Yukiko, I like Teddy, I like Kanji, I like Rise, I like Naoto, I like fucking Adachi. I love Adachi's theme, by the way. Adachi has my favorite villain theme for me personally. New World Fool is just my favorite shit. I love that. I'm talking about the one in game. I don't like the remix that much. That's in like the other games. New World Fool is my favorite like villain theme in P4 currently. I just like it, and it's currently my favorite Persona game. Although I'm only comparing it with Vanilla 5, but you know, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Comparing it with Vanilla 5. But please tell me your thoughts about P4. What are your greatest memories? I didn't grow up with P4, and I imagined P4 would have been like one of my favorite video games of all time if I had grown up with P4. I'm gonna be real with you. If I had grown up with P4 when it came out on the PS2, it would have been right up there with Kingdom Hearts 2 as one of my favorite games. I actually would have been pissed that Golden is on the goddamn Vita, because at that point I wouldn't have owned one. But P4, shit. That game is great. This game is so fucking good, and thank you Revolver for giving it to me. I guess I should casually mention real quick how I feel about Marie. Fine. She's fine. I don't really hate her, but she's fine. She's really kooky as an extra character, especially when you realize when I like compare it to like Royal, when I see like Kasumi and Dr. Mariyuki, it's not the same. It's not even close. Fuck you, God. that's my response. But people are good. So leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for the support. It's been your boy, the green. Big cup. Let's say green. Later win. And I'll get you guys later. Peace. Later days.
It was $9,000 to fucking.
Well, the bad news is that was literally the whole day.
Yep.
Hey, real quick.
Alright, guys, back finally.
Oh, you.
Okay.
I'm done.
Finally.
I'm done.
I'm finished right now.
I'm done with
What
you.
happened?
That's can't see it. Just tell
You missed the fox by 10 seconds. Because you came in right when the fucking Right when the scene fucking transitioned.
What the fuck?
Because we had to go to the Fox, and we were about to end it soonish.
No, come on, man.
What the fuck is this?
I missed the Fox again.